Mark Maclure is a former Carlton captain and a three-time premiership player. He sits in the top 15 for games played for the Blues. More recently, he has fashioned a role in the commentary box at Fox Footy and on the ABC as a man who says whatever takes his fancy at the time, so long as it shocks. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Mike.
You a shock jock, or are you just brutally honest?
No, I think that I call it as I see it, and look, the thing that gets me is I really despise people who are selfish in our game. And that's what I really hate. And I will always have a go at that, because this is a team game.
Is that when I introduced the names Brendan Favola and Jack Riewoldt?
Well, what do you think, do you think they're selfish?
To a degree, but aren't most full forwards, and you're a key forward, aren't most full forwards selfish?
Yeah, but we're playing a team game, and sometimes when you have a look at Brendan Favola, never played in the final. Jack Riewoldt hasn't played in the final. When they start playing in finals and start becoming team players, then we'll see a different side to Jack Riewoldt. He'll understand what football's about. And Brendan never did.
The Riewoldt one interests me. Lots of people, I mean, he's a different character. He's so important to Richmond and their promotional value. He's a Coleman medalist.
Yeah,
Yet
sure.
at the start of this season, you, in concert with David King, really hoed into him, didn't you?
I think there's a reason for that. I think they're sitting in a special place now, Richmond. They got a chance to play in the finals the first time for a number of years. Probably the second time in 30 years they'll play in the finals. And if you're going to have selfish players around the place who restrict you from getting into the 8, it's up to us to actually absolutely bring that out amongst people. Because, look, that's restricting them. Because if selflessness is one of the major things in our game. Unfortunately, Jack worries about himself, or has worried about himself. At times he's changed, but he looks like he's gone back to it a little bit now.
Did you have any contact with him after your criticism of him? There were sort of some overtures from him, I thought, that he was willing, maybe have a game of golf with you or a coffee with you. Did anything ever transpire on that front?
No, he never rang me.
No. Favola interests me, and I know his shortcomings, we all do, but I'll never forget, there was a game in Sydney, Carlton were playing Sydney, you were covering the game for the ABC, you smashed him. In fact, I think to the point where you said that they should get rid of this bloke. Was there anything personal between you and Fed?
I like Brendan. Brendan as a person is a good bloke, and Jack's probably the same. I see him, he's a pretty affable guy. But when I watch football, and I watch it in the way I like to watch football, and how I know how it should be played, to play in finals and play in all those sorts of things, I see a real big void in their game. So that's why I try and point out to the public that this is not the right place to play. People love Favola. People love Jack because he kicks 100 goals, but they don't play finals.
Have you ever had second thoughts about anything you've said in your commentary role?
Only when I get home at night. Sometimes.
But do you sort of say that you might have gone too far, or that you might have miscued?
Sometimes I think about it. Yeah, of course I do. Everyone has misgivings about some things they say, and we're working on the spur of the moment. We're actually in time with what's happening in the game, but I always try and keep it to what I know best, which is playing in part of a team, being part of this, teaching the youth, doing all those sorts of things, and understanding, trying to understand the game better, and giving that to the public mostly.
Let me give you one example.
Please do.
Recently on 360, in your role there, you did liken Joe Watson to Lance Armstrong. Did you get it wrong?
Probably. Yeah, probably did. But at the moment, I thought he'd admitted to taking drugs.
He'd admitted to taking a prohibited substance with the authorisation of the medical department. The other bloke was,
which we know now,
exposed as a systemic cheat.
I understand that. I got it wrong. I've admitted that.
Are you friendly with Tim Watson?
Oh, probably not. Now I'm not.
But would something like that move you to sort of say, look, I think I should ring him, I think I should ring Tim if I know him, or Job, and sort of say, look, the implication was too strong. My time over again, I wouldn't say it.
Probably, yeah.
But you haven't done it?
No, I haven't.
Oh. Okay.
It doesn't mean I'm not heartless. So it just means
I understand.
I haven't done it, and I haven't come across them, and I'd rather do it personally if I could.
No, look, people like your style.
Ringing people to me is not on. I'd rather see them personally and talk about them.
But you plan to?
Oh, if I run into them, well, yeah.
Your style's interesting. That's why I'm labouring this a little, but the style is interesting, and particularly for the ABC, because historically they don't have commentators that are as incisive as you've been. One exchange with James Podley-Adley really interested me. You said in the cover that Podley-Adley virtually was a flat-track bully. Kicked goals at Geelong, and that was the extent of it.
Yeah.
Tell us what unfolded after that.
Well, after the game, we interviewed him, and I talked to him about how he'd scored so many goals at Geelong and not so many at the MCG and elsewhere. Oh, he took offence, massive offence, and
this was in the conversation.
In the conversation,
time, yeah.
And rightly so. That's up to him to do that. And I said, well, that's just our take. And after he went off air, I said, well, you know, that's what you get for being a smart ass sometimes, for actually asking questions that probably would sort of jar somebody. And
like you being the smart ass.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I was in Sydney the next week. We didn't have a game. I had a week off, and I was up there with my mates playing golf because we didn't have a game in Melbourne. And on the Saturday night, when he kicked 6 at the MCG, I got about 35 text messages, and I actually was rapt. I was pleased for him, absolutely pleased.
How were you on the end of criticism in your playing days?
Oh, you get plenty of it, and it's a difficult spot, that centre forward, and I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. So criticism was probably par for the course there.
The Encyclopedia of AFL Footballers describes you as a talented player whose fluctuations in form exasperated the Carlton supporters. Is that a bit harsh?
That's someone's opinion.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, it is a very celebrated career that you've got.
Well, I didn't write the book, and nor did you, but someone else did, and that's okay. Everyone sees things differently, yeah. And obviously that's what they saw. So, but that's okay by me. I know my role. I knew my role when I played, and that was what I used to play. I played with the boys and loved it.
Sellers, you occasionally refer to the awareness of players during a game of football.
Yeah.
You need to be a bit more careful, I reckon, before you trot that one out. Can I remind you of an incident in your playing days, a game Carlton and North Melbourne? Let's have a look at it on the...
I think I know where you're going here, Mike.
On the monitor.
Poor old Mick Nolan.
Your head's still down. Now, Mick Nolan was roughly about 130 kilos and 6'5", and he was stationary.
I'll go through the instant for you if you like. I was told by my coach at the time, David Parkin, which is you must chase the centre half back out, and you, of course, as most forwards have to do that. Unfortunately, I was playing on Ross Glendinning, and he just runs a little bit quicker than me. And chasing him out was like, so it was a token chase, as you know, you can tell that. And I put my head down and wobbled around like you normally do. And all of a sudden, Mick had his first shepherd for the year, you know what I mean? So, actually, I had to laugh myself. I've watched it a few times.
You did bounce off him, though.
Yeah, but I actually just caught him at the last second and had my hands up to block it also. But look, it's not one... Actually, the only thing I've been remembered for, isn't it good?
Oh, there's a couple of other things you did.
Not many.
Now, let's clear something up from a recent episode of Open Mic. Wayne Johnson was on, and it's fair to say, I think, that he painted you as the band leader of the Carlton rock stars of the late 70s and early 80s. Is that a fair depiction of your influence on the group?
Wayne has been known to tamper with the truth, Michael, as you well know. Look, we had a really good group of people at our football club, and the culture was set well before I got there. By previous people. It was actually set by Brass. Brass was the person who came along and changed that football club in '66. He came along with an ethos that, you work hard, you train hard, and you actually have a good time as well. And some of his stuff still stands up today, or most of it still stands up today. It's about continual improvement. You continue to try and improve, even until you're to our age, Michael. You keep going until you die. You never stop trying to get better. Leadership, and then you talk about selflessness, and then you talk about all the other things like being proud of what you do, and lots of different things about our football club you do. And also, it's about having a good time too. Yeah. I think most people have forgotten about having a good time at football.
We'll explore that, but let's go back to the time we're talking about. The view from the outside was that the Carlton blokes played hard on and off the ground. Very good football team, outstanding after dark.
Yeah.
True?
Got no argument.
What about the pub engagements during the week in footy season? I mean, it'd be unheard of. The young blokes watching you now would sort of say they couldn't have done that. But they were true, weren't they?
We used to have a beer on Monday nights.
A beer?
A beer, yeah. We'd have 3 or 4 beers. We didn't have a lot.
Literally 3 or 4?
Yeah, 3 or 4, yeah. On Monday nights.
Yep.
And then Tuesday we used to go and have a couple after training.
Yep.
We'd have training. We'd train Sunday, normally, after a game. And then Monday we'd train. Tuesday we'd train. Wednesday we'd train. Thursday we'd train. We trained every day in those days, or as a group of us who did. And the ones who did used to go and have a couple of beers at Norton's on Monday. And Norton's on Tuesday we'd have 2 or 3 beers and we'd go home. And until David Parkin arrived.
So Parker arrives in 1981?
81, yes.
Yeah. And says, I hear this is a practice?
No. He lost every practice match.
Yeah.
David lost every one, we didn't.
Yeah.
And after the 4th one we lost, because we didn't actually try, he came to us and said, you're not going to Norton's anymore.
And you said?
No problems. So we had only one choice we had, Michael.
Pick another pub.
Correct. So we went to the Fenwick, and no one could find the Fenwick.
Were you arrogant? Or is that just that really healthy self-belief that the great teams of any sport have?
I think we had an enormous belief in each other. That even that you sit there and you think, well, why would they go to the pub Monday night or maybe even Tuesday and have a couple of beers? It was about being together and not letting your teammate down. You knew that if you were in this situation and someone was flying behind you, that they would take him out of the way. And there was an enormous trust amongst us. We weren't any better than anyone else. We didn't buy any players. It was all kids who came through the ranks.
There were some good kids though, weren't there?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
But they got taught the right way. This is what you do. Selfless is the most important thing. You know, continual all the stuff we talk about all the time. It just kept feeding in. Because we had a couple of beers, it didn't ever kill anybody. And actually, some of the players today, I feel sorry for them. The way they go about it.
What you mean? The restraints are too?
Yeah, restraints are hard. Yeah. You know, they can't have a drop of a beer or anything like that because it might hit the skin folds and all that sort of stuff. It's crazy. You've got to relax and enjoy.
Did you have skin fold tests when you were playing?
Yeah.
You did? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what would you say if you were... And
it's not the same as I was now.
No. I didn't think you played it that way. If you've been involved with 4 footy clubs, just for argument's sake, someone said to you now that they wanted your input about how to bring a better balance into the lives of young footballers, what would you say? Can they be given a free night a week? Can they be or is that just too risky?
Well, you tell me, can they today? They can't even walk out the door. They can't do anything. There's the cameras and TV, phones and all that sort of stuff is all over them. I mean, they've got people waiting outside rooms for them, you know, like with cameras and bits and pieces. How do you think they'd go if they got a night out? Where do you think the press would be that night?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's a different world.
Were you blokes hounded? Carlton was a fashionable footy team. You were very good, a lot of big names, and your lifestyle was exotic. And we in the media used to sort of keep a reasonable eye on it. Were you hounded at the time? We're talking now late 70s, early 80s?
I think you guys will be remembered for what you didn't write.
Yeah. I don't like to be reminded of that.
Well, you should be proud of yourself.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. The grand final, 3 premierships in 4 years.
Yeah.
You played in all 3 of them. In 2 of them you played on a bloke called Billy Picken. And I reckon you probably, made a guess, you probably played 20 or 25 games on Billy Picken.
Probably, yeah.
He was named Collingwood's best in 2 of those grand finals.
Yeah, he was. He was very good. He was excellent.
Was he the best player you played on?
No.
Who was?
He's a great competitor, Bill. Don't worry about that. He was a sensational competitor. And I actually really... I really admire him and still really like talking to him whenever I see him. He's great. I thought Peter Knight was probably the best I played on.
Yeah.
He was faster. He could jump higher. He could run longer.
Yeah.
He wasn't the greatest kick in the world, but he used to get it down. He was a great player, you know, and very, 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 very hard to beat. I used to just chalk down 3 votes for him every week I played on him. So that's the way it should be.
But you see these days now they'd be sort of saying about forward pressure, but you blokes were quite good in that area, weren't you?
The whole thing about our forward liners, we were doing similar things to what they're doing today. We were doing 80 tackles in those days in the 80s.
Yes, Mark.
David,
Mark.
Listen, I'm telling you now, absolute
80
fact.
tackles.
You have a look back through the records. Parker will show you those things. And we were aiming for that 80 tackle part. And most of it was done between forward and midfield because there's no good tackling down back because it's already gone.
You literally mean 80?
Yeah, we were setting up for for kick-outs. We were setting up for boundary throw-ins. We were setting up for whole lots of things. It wasn't just a hope and a whim and a prayer. You can't go there like that. So it was amazing what was going on.
Let's stay with the 70s and early 80s. When you used to go to a game and play at Princess Park or Victoria Park or the MCG, any trepidation at all, or was this sort of, was it excitement about what was in front of you?
I always got nervous before I
You
went to
did,
the game.
yeah.
Always, yeah.
No matter who it was?
Every game.
Yeah.
If I wasn't nervous, I'd be worried about myself.
Nervous to the point of dry reaching? And
No, never that. But I was always nervous, and because, you know, you're out there performing in front of people, and you're judged every week on what you do.
You recognise that bloke?
Not really. He's got anorexia, isn't he?
He got over it.
He got over it, yeah. I've beaten it, yeah.
After the break, Mark, the sudden end to your time at Carlton. Lots of great teams in your career, Mark. Which is your favourite? And I'm talking about a year.
Oh, I think 79 was fantastic, but 82 was the one that really sort of... 81 and 82 were the back-to-back areas, but 82 was the one that really got us, because Richmond beat us by 8 goals in the second semi-final. I remember walking into the ground, and I walked in with Jono, with Wayne, and he said, "How do you reckon we'll go?" And that's exactly what he said, "How do you reckon we'll go?" I said, "Might be a bit tough." And that was the only word spoken. We didn't say another word, and away we went. And I think it was a sensational turnaround. Because
You roughed him up that day, didn't you?
Oh, well, I'm not so certain about that. We produced something special that day.
But that's a serious question. Did you not come out and sort of say that we're going to serve it up to these blokes? Was that the famous...
Well, it's only a mindset thing. I mean, you can't do anything that, that destroys them, but we targeted a few.
Self-assessment's always difficult, and it's a hard one to ask, but I mean, you're a realist and you're pragmatic. How did you see Mark Maclure, the footballer?
I thought honest. I thought played my role the way I was supposed to. Very, very diligent with his training. Probably not so much after match. And that's being honest. I mean, after match was for what we wanted to do. I worked 5 days a week at a normal job. We played football. We had a ball. Absolutely had a ball. What else could I loved it, but I was always very difficult, very tough on myself.
Yeah.
And other
In your
players
assessment
around
of
us.
how you'd gone.
And other players around us as well.
You didn't mind calling your mates out, did you, at Carlton?
We had to.
Well, not everyone does that.
That's their problem. No, this is the way. That's the way it was. That's the way this leading teams that's on now. We were doing that back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And doing it much more brutal than what they do now. And it worked. It just works. So
when you say brutal, if someone wasn't doing what you thought they should do or what the team expected of them, how would you address that?
Sunday morning, we'd train and we'd sit down and watch World of Sport, which was the great Sunday morning of our life. You know, after training, we'd have a couple of long necks and a party pie, and we'd sort of, anyone sort of got a bit too high and mighty, it wasn't just one person, it was part of the whole culture to pull them back and set them down and, you know, work them out, and who thought they were pretty good and who wasn't, and, you know, all that sort of stuff. It was quite interesting. It was a very interesting culture.
Were you ever on the receiving end?
Oh, yeah. Everyone does. Everyone gets a run.
And what was the fault that people saw in you?
Bit high and mighty.
Really?
Yeah, as a youth, you know how you get, you're having a good time and all that, you know, so
Did you think that was fair? Did you think you got ahead of yourself?
Absolutely.
So when you started at the other end, in defence, playing in the back pocket.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it to send you to centre-half forward, and when did it happen?
Happened in about 77. I went to half-forward flank. I played about 50 or 60 games down back, half-back flank and back pocket and centre-half back for a while. And then I just sort of moved forward and played beside Robert it was the first year I actually started to play beside Robert in 77, and probably half the year, last half of the year, and then the next year I sort of started centre forward after Wolsey got the chop in 78.
Yeah, Wolsey got chopped, went to Fitzroy.
Or he left, one or the other.
Yeah, almost 10 years on, Wolsey's back at Carlton coaching you. You're the captain, the Blues make the grand final, you kick 40-odd goals, and we never see you again.
Yeah.
Did Wolsey sack you?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah. As he should have. My time was up.
Was it?
Yeah.
Even though you were captain of this team and had in goal terms, had a pretty good year.
I think that he wanted to move on with some youth. They had Kernahan there who arrived. They had a whole lot of young kids coming through. I think they had a pretty good bunch. And it was time for me to go, and he certainly certainly finished it off swiftly.
It's interesting, this.
And we've had a little tate about that, but I really like Wolsey. I actually do. I really like him.
Well, he's mellowed a lot, Wolsey, hasn't he? But at that time...
Was he a nightmare in those days? And he knows it too.
Let's stay with that time.
Yeah.
He's the coach. You are, and I know you're uncomfortable with this, but you're the captain of a team that's in the grand final, and you're a Carlton legend. 3 premierships and 240 games. He calls you into his office. Is that how it happens? Says, I want to talk to you, Mark.
Yeah.
And?
I'm not guaranteeing you a game next year and blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, that's okay, that's fine. I've been thinking about giving it away anyway. Well, you were over in Japan when we were there.
Yeah.
I'd had a stress fracture in my foot, I had a broken bone in my wrist. I was starting to get...
You had a crook back?
Crook back, and I've had that for years, and from 82 when I got hit in the back. So look, my time was up. I was done. Was
that bad blood then, though? I mean, obviously, you just said something that indicated that you didn't take too kindly to it at the time.
You ever been dumped by a girlfriend?
Yeah. Do you want them in alphabetical order?
Andrea, yeah, okay. But no, look, you sort of take a little bit, because it's your life. I've been doing it for 14 years. I loved it, and I sort of went to myself, well, it's bad luck for Wolsey, bugger him, you know, and I went off to Brisbane then and helped coach with Peter Knights, which was...
That was the start of the Brisbane Bears?
Yeah.
You went with Knightsy?
Yeah.
Were you assistant coach there?
I was.
Yeah.
Loved it. Thought it was outstanding. We had a bunch of unusual players, came from every other club.
Yeah.
But to win 6, 7 and 8 in the first 3 years was something unbelievable.
You coached the seconds in Sydney?
Yeah.
Who was the senior coach then?
Cole Kinnear.
Cole Kinnear, yeah. And you finished at St Kilda in a role
I had a spurt at Carlton too, from 91 till sort of 94.
St Kilda, you're there as in an advisory role to Malcolm Blight, or a support role?
Yeah, support role to Malcolm Blight, on selection.
Who got you to St Kilda?
Malcolm. Malcolm rang me and asked me to come.
Yeah. Malcolm got chopped, you stayed.
Yeah.
You're a mate of Tomo's, aren't you? Grant Thomas took his place.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. We've been good friends for years. Yeah, we're good mates.
Was Blighty hard done by it at St Kilda?
Oh, I think he might have been, thought he was, but I didn't think so.
You didn't?
No, I
wasn't working?
I didn't think it was working. But that's for other people to debate, but, you know, so he may have liked me before, but he mightn't have liked me when he left. But, look, I like Malcolm. Malcolm's a good fella. I think that the $1 million thing enticed him to do something he didn't want to do.
I agree with that.
Just leave it at that.
I agree with that. Tomo? Good coach, Tomo?
I think he had his moments. I think he was, the start he was thrust in there, he wanted to do it. He always wanted to do it, Tomo. And his first year or so, you know, I think that he was okay, but then all of a sudden he made a few different things that made him, I think, pretty good coach.
A lot of people say that Tomo had Blighty's blood on his hands.
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to that?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not?
No. Malcolm had Malcolm's blood on his hands. I think that's the way. And to me, it was. I just think he was enticed. He wanted to do. He didn't really want to do it. That's my thoughts.
Is there anything you did in your footy career that you wished you hadn't have done?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Like?
Do I have to tell you everything?
Well, like
this is what it is. What is it? Where am I in the box here somewhere?
Well, I want to I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, give me one.
What about when you took your clothes off and parked yourself behind a Sheahan? Well, have a look at that. Have a look at that.
Disgraceful, isn't it? I could have got away with a ping pong ball, Michael, I think. No, look...
Geez, you're broad-shouldered in those days, weren't you?
No, look, that's probably one of them. But I did get paid for that.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Handsomely, didn't you?
Oh, well, what do you reckon? Handsome? I don't know. I got no idea. I don't look at it. I've actually been to a party once when I went to the bathroom. It was on the back wall, and I just couldn't believe it. I went, you're kidding? Into some girl's party years ago. I went, oh, Jesus.
Did you sign it?
Absolutely not. But I suppose there's one I actually do regret. There's one day that Val and I missed training. Do you remember this?
I do.
Well, that was one of the ones you're going to bring up?
All I wanted it to come from you, Mark. This is a cleansing of the soul.
Cleansing of the soul, is it? I think David's already knows about it. And,
yeah.
It was one of those days.
So tell us about that story. You had two high-profile players, Perovic and Maclure. You deliberately missed training, didn't you?
Yeah.
Why?
I actually, at this time, I felt I was sort of sick of it, you know. I mean, I played so much, I was injured, I didn't feel good, I don't know, and it was probably recalcitrant in a sense, and just missed training and regretted it ever since.
Did you get fined?
Heavily.
How much?
About half my year's wages.
Literally?
More than what they can be fined today.
Yeah. Was it 10 grand?
Something like that. I won't return the exact amount, but it was plenty.
Where did you spend your time when you should have been at training?
I was at a little place in Toorak Road. You know where it is.
Well, yeah, well, share it with...
Faulkner Hotel. Unfortunately...
that's a good place to hide.
Yeah, well, I thought so. Sun was out, beautiful day. So we thought we'd pop in for a lemon squash. Unfortunately, it turned into... one's too many and 100's not enough. Yeah.
What did the coach say? Do you remember that?
Oh, well. Oh, look, I was a bit very remorseful and not much you can do. I just said, well, whatever happens, happens. You make your decision if you want me still or don't. And
what year were we talking about, Sellers?
83.
83.
Mid-83.
Yeah. So were you almost at the brink of sort of saying, do I want to continue playing this game?
No, not really. I was never at that brink, but I just wasn't at my best. You know, every now and then you have days where you feel terrible, and you don't want to be. You just sort of go, it's just over the same old rigmarole going and going and going again. And if, I don't know if you've ever had one of those, Michael.
A lot of them.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I just took it a little bit too far.
Finally, Sellers. Yeah. Why do you continue to wear your wife Virginia's glasses on 360?
You'll be happy to know, Michael, that they ceased to live not long ago.
What happened to them?
I sat on them. No, I didn't. No,
what's your favourite? Is it the lime? The lilac?
I like the lime because I could see them. I could find them around the place. I have lots of glasses, coloured glasses, because I like to have different colours. And it's a stupid question anyway, Michael.
I know.
Seriously.
Hey, Sellers, it's been a great ride. I mean, the footy career, as colourful as and eventful as it was, has only been half of it. And I do enjoy your style in the commentary box, and I think lots of people do. May it continue for a lot longer.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.